handy slides and smooth technology, but also interesting technological problems, improvisation, lights on, lights off, modern technology in an old room, stolen presentation, but an unexpected solution.
Many of the attendants were older people, 40 to 50 years old. I asked an old man how he experienced this panel, and he replied it was very clear, though it was difficult for him to focus because his back was aching.
I rushed, but I got lost trying to find the location. I felt nervous. Was I gonna make it? I missed the first lecture. Bummer. You feel that you caused a disturbance, entering late. But I realized I did not. I was not the last entering the room.
A girl was half distracted while looking for her earring. The room was warm. Interesting lectures in a comfortable setting. Trying not to fall asleep. Conventional. And now I have to find some water. Conscious of your own position. Look, the forbidden garden outside. A lady said, I looked at the beautiful classroom. How lovely would it be to teach in such a long tradition.
Reports of a technical chaos. Exchange of experiences, fears and misunderstandings. A never-ending source of saving. Every artist wants to be remembered for his work. Everybody wants to be saved.
The pleasure of being together in a special sense. I'm not feeling so much as a freak as I normally do. You just throw out your fishing rod and they'll bite. You could feel the concentration in the room. It was highly energetic. Where is the bathroom? Do you know where I can get some coffee? Is there any Wi-Fi around here? Could you get me a can opener? Why are all the women walking on high heels? Is there a doctor in the room?
Great panel, smart people, inspiring for new papers. A man with dreadlocks thought the lecture was provocative and stimulating. The spectators were all focused. I will remember the details, not all the talks, was the conclusion of a spectator. Discussions were interesting, lots of questions and good answers. One man was surprised by the intensity of speakers and listeners. So many people are attending. Intensive listening while having a Dutch lunch. A man came to me and said, I'm not an academic, but these lectures are very useful for my theatre project.
Experience. Tapping on a laptop as a soundscape to the panel. Questioning how I teach what I teach. Tiredness, anxiety, relief, warm satisfaction, and finally, pink birthday cake.
There were a few people standing in the hall waiting for the doors to go open. Then they found out the room number had to be 104 instead of 103. It was quite early in the morning, so there weren't many people to visit this panel, though the people that went there came out of the room smiling.
Comments on a quote. A girl saying,
I feel like someone standing on my shoulders.
Chinese women laughing.
I feel bigger than I normally do.
A man asking,
Is it me?
A man complaining.
It's not enough. I want to travel in it.
Useful. Thoughts. A girl is feeling like a god in Bergen's coat. Massive connections. Or her head is in her stomach. Realization on research. I don't have to look in your eyes to trust you, do I? Staring people, feeling safe, not being myself, anonymous, in a bunny suit.
Is St. Peter's body representing his soul being cleared, or just naked? Just one of the questions being raised by Jane Taylor, who also explained to us that in fact the first painting of Caravaggio, the horse in fact was not frightened. It raised a lot of eyebrows. People daydreamed. Also the rainbows on the ceiling drew the attention.
While the weather started to get gloomy outside,
the wind picked up and it started raining.
A presentation about trash took place. Some people were sitting behind their laptops, taking notes. Others simply yawned.
The speaker himself was very focused, but almost ran outside during the break to have a cigarette.
Picture this. Pink post-its on the wall, sentences duct-taped to the floor, the audience drifting across the room. Or were they actually performers? To perform or not to perform? That's the question.
Even though it seemed like it, the cute guys with the cameras capturing the event were not in on the performance. We have 18 seconds to remember the shift about dance in the 80s. Let's start. While sitting on cushions, two performers remembered their 80s through dance while lying and crawling on the floor. Quote, "It feels like my stuff is on the floor. It's a friendly sensation sitting here."
People are struggling with their jet lags, but nevertheless visited a panel about embodied dance. There was a lot of things overcomplicated, and things could have been more concrete. There were strangers becoming acquainted, not friends yet, people checking emails, and overall people were experiencing a feeling of exhaustion.
3 women sharing their bodily archives with the audience. People thought it was extremely moving, felt an inner connection and admiration for the courage and resilience of her fellow feminine scholars. They were personally touched, and some even surprised by the personal information being shared. It was magical, wonderful to experience, and fascinating. You really felt that connection to the material, and thus you could also connect with their stories. Experiencing a mini performance is like a vacuum. Quote, "I went on to making my own vacuum with a fellow spectator," end quote. Being an actor himself, marked by a blue hand of an earlier mini performance, he always starts to scream while in a theater, so the scariest thing you can do in a theater is over. He felt it to be inappropriate to do so here, though.
Garlic and onions, soup and whiskey, rehearsing and singing, talking and meeting. The conference is events and in-betweens. We are on a mental journey to the Holocaust. Through shaping a mass grave by laying down, we remember the memorial. Hypermap is an installation consisting of a wall with quotes of dancers who choose the performance of the text on the wall. It is a performative art direction. What do you need when combining practice and research? Humor and laughing manages to blur performance. But when you perform, do you perform someone else or yourself? Visiting the old folks, an event where drinks, cookies, wisdom and urine samples get exchanged. How much of their knowledge can be traced? The warmth left with much confusion. Being Derrida and performing Derrida. Both a lecture in pajamas and a tent claimed to be authentic. A spectator describes the event as madness. Friendly family gathering around horrifying images of human suffering in an atmosphere of mutual support. Respecting recognition. A woman walks down the street with a glass of wine.
Warm bodies in an isolated space. Throughout the shift there was a constant moving between inside and out. One man said he was constantly having parallel thoughts, thinking about his own experience with music, which acted as a sort of a lullaby, while another experienced the music from outside of the shift, which was seeping in and adding more atmosphere.